Hello, everyone. It's Wednesday, April 26th. We're joined today by our Secretary of Tourism, Chelsea Ruby, and we're tickled to death to have Chelsea with us always. And she's going to update us on some really neat stuff in regard to our new driver's license design. We've been working on this a long time. I mean, it's a long time in the coming and everything, but today, as my notes say today, I'm really excited to announce that we're rolling out a new brand design for our state driver's license and ID cards. And so, Chelsea, come on and talk to us about this, please.
Good afternoon, Governor. Thanks for having me. Yes, it has been a long time in the making, and we are really excited. So I realized just today that we just passed the 5-year anniversary of the new Almost Heaven, or I guess it's not new anymore, the Almost Heaven branding. You've seen that, and folks all across the country and around the world have been seeing it on ads. We've got it on billboards. We've got it in state buildings, welcome centers, and today we get to add driver's license to that. So you've talked to us a lot over the years about being frogs that are proud of our pond, and today all the frogs in West Virginia can go out and get a driver's license that shows that new Almost Heaven branding. So it'll be a great reminder to folks in restaurants, airports, and all over when West Virginians are out and about of the place that we all get to call Almost Heaven.
And Chelsea, please tell us about the different aspects of the driver's license. I know we've got our state logo up on top. We've got the New River Gorge Bridge, the water below. It's really neat.
Yeah, so it's based on a photograph, and we did a treatment to it to make it kind of look like an artist's sketch, but it is the New River Gorge Bridge. You can see the sky, the water below. It's a beautiful picture, and then on the back, we've got mountains and the Almost Heaven logo.
It's really good, really good. All right, well, like I said, it took too long. You know how impatient I am, but nevertheless, I'm glad we're finally across the finish line, and that'll just be another good thing, that'll promote West Virginia and bring more and more folks here, maybe. So thank you so much.
Great, thank you.
Next thing I want to tell you about one smart cookie. We have an outstanding student in West Virginia. We've got lots and lots of outstanding students. But this one just won one of the top internships in the country, if not the top. Now get this. William Matheny from Ripley High School will intern with NASA at the Katherine Johnson facility in Fairmont this summer. William beat out 300 other students from all across the nation for this internship. And this internship rivals, if not surpasses, Google, Apple, Microsoft, and other top companies and everything. During the interview process for the internship, William displayed a mastery of coding, robotics, and technology as a whole. So we really congratulate him. He also has a certificate with Python development, which is a computer program that helps automate tasks and conduct data analysis. This is one incredibly smart student in the great state of West Virginia. So William, I've got a certificate of recognition here, and I'm not going to be able to read it all because I can't see it all, but I'm going to try. I'm going to get some of it anyway. From the state of West Virginia, Jim Justice, the governor, it says, "Greetings, be it known, William Matheny from Ripley High School is hereby awarded this certificate of recognition," and it's got by my hand, and I'll sign it right now, and we'll make this official, and we'll get it right to you and everything. But William, there you go. We'll be sending this right to you and everything. Congratulations to you. Congratulations, Ripley High School, and all those that, had a role in this and everything. So very, very good work. Keep up the great work. You're making us really proud. Okay. in the NFL draft this week, we have a West Virginian who's hoping to hear his name called, and this is Tyson Badgett. And Tyson is a Martinsburg native, but he played quarterback at Shepherd University, which is starting to very, very hopeful that this is going to pay off in a great big way. He is the Heisman Trophy winner for Division II football. During his senior year, he broke all-time passing touchdown records among all divisions of college football with 159. It's unbelievable. You know, he then played in the Senior Bowl and performed at the NFL Combine. This is really an incredible story and everything. So best of luck to Tyson. We're rooting for you. You're making West Virginia proud too, son. But just keep up the great work. Shepherd University, we congratulate you, and we know we're all pulling for this young man. Okay, our burning ban we've lifted it. We finally got a little bit of rain, and that was really good. We want to really be cautious because that rain will get gone really quick and everything, but things will start to green up more and more and more, and you know, maybe we'll be able to not have to put up with this burning ban stuff, but nevertheless, be careful. Really, really, really careful. A lot of folks and a lot of creatures that are, you know, critters that are out there depending on you. This is really interesting. You know, our Dirt Days event that we had in Clay County, this is a Civil Military Innovation Institute that was hosted, you know, hosted a military field training exercise last week known as Dirt Days in partnership with the United States Army Combat Capabilities Development Command and the 101st Airborne Division. You know, it was held at the Adaptive Experimental Facility at FOLA in Clay County, and we've got a video. I think you'll really enjoy watching this and everything. I think it's about a 3-minute video, but just bear with us. I think you'll really enjoy this.
The Dirt Days experimentation exercise here at the Adaptive Experimentation Facility. So here in FOLA, West Virginia, we've built the AEF, or Adaptive Experimentation Facility. The Dirt Days event is a culmination of 2 Army programs, the Pathfinder U.S. Army program with DEFCON and the Accelerating Force program. And so soldier units like the 101st Airborne and other sister units come here to do combat readiness, and we overlay prototype experimentation in the field designed to get soldier feedback.
We have the opportunity for soldiers to create or bring problems, ideas, concepts to the experts at EagleWorks, put that into action and develop either a system or technology, or at least propose those ideas back to the Army. This is something that we actually need. So it's been quite helpful, and like I talked about before, starting with something as simple as a assistant gunner's bag, which actually was very useful. We used it at JRTC last year, up to an assault CP that we're trying to develop right now, and then a lot of the other technology that we got here.
And West Virginia is kind of unique in the flexibility and the capabilities it provides us at a place like FOLA. There's really not a lot we can't do here. If you go out to the sort of more structured training areas that the Army and the forces have, very often there's environmental constraints, there's safety constraints. Here at FOLA, within reason, we can allow the soldiers to really exercise the way they would in combat. The other amazing thing, quite frankly, about this facility in particular, a lot of the classic training areas are in the desert. This terrain slows you down. You can pass enemy in the night without knowing they're there. Your engagement ranges are different. The physical task of maneuvering across this is significantly different. All of that presents an incredibly challenging training environment, which is probably more reflective of some of the places our guys are going to go operate in the future.
It is definitely the most adverse terrain we've encountered. I've never seen so many hills in my life, because Because back at Campbell, the ground's relatively flat.
West Virginia is very important to CMI2. This event, this facility in Fuller, West Virginia and Clay County are really important to us. We're creating a privatized training and experimentation facility for the Army here in West Virginia. It's going to draw a lot, it's going to create jobs, it's going to draw people in.
We have a vision for where we take this place in the future. We absolutely intend to bring capability here. There's probably a very strong economic development piece. We're still sort of framing that out as we validate this capability. But again, West Virginia has been incredibly welcoming to us in doing the kind of things we do. So it's a great place to do this sort of work.
I'll tell you, we are so blessed in this country. I mean, honestly, if stuff like that doesn't bring tears to your eyes about just the blessings that we have to have these men and women, have our back all the time and absolutely be the backbone of this entire nation. I say it over and over and over. Everything we have, we owe to them. So God bless them, and thank you so much for being in West Virginia. But thank you so much, first and foremost, for being our strength that maintains our country. So thank you again. We have a delegate appointment today. I am announcing today and that I have appointed Andritra Hamilton to the West Virginia House of Delegates, 81st District that covers Morgantown. Hamilton is the president of the NAACP for Morgantown Kingwood. She is also a minister at a church in Fairmont, and she replaces Danielle Walker, who resigned recently to become the executive director of the American Civil Liberties Union in West Virginia. So congratulations, to Andritra. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, and thank you so much, Daniel Walker and Danielle. You've been great, in the House of Delegates, and we wish you the very best as you continue to do more and more and more greatness. And the last thing I've got is the COVID video, the COVID update and everything. Dr. Marsh, if you could tell us, what's going on there, please.
Hi, this is Clay Marsh, and it's always such a pleasure to join the governor and all of the viewers from West Virginia on the governor's press briefing. And this is an update from COVID-19. There are a few new developments in COVID-19, and it's particularly important to recognize that this is National Infant Immunization Week. And I should point out that the recording that we are doing for this press brief is Tuesday, April 25th, so that we are appropriately dating it. But this week is Infant Immunization Week, and to that end, the Centers for Disease Control and the Food and Drug Administration just altered and in many ways simplified the vaccine regimen for the Omicron COVID-19 shot. And for anybody 6 years and under, it's still a bit more complicated. And so we would encourage, if you're a family and your child has not been immunized yet, to contact your primary care provider for an update and to get clarity on what you should do for your child. But for children 6 years and older and adults, the CDC and the FDA have agreed that having a single Omicron COVID-19 shot is the regimen now as the primary shot. And then for Americans over 65, and we've spent a lot of time talking about how the risks for people over 65 now are much greater than the risk of people under 65 related to the severity of a COVID-19 infection, and that severity can lead people to hospitalizations and die. And about 90% of our deaths that we see in the US, even though they've gone down to about 250 a week, happen in people that are older than 65 years old, or people that are immunocompromised. And the new guidance is that for people that are 4 months from the last Omicron COVID-19 shot, then people over 65 are eligible for a second Omicron COVID-19 shot. And people that are immunocompromised, people that have altered immune systems because of cancer or treatment for immune disease, et cetera, are eligible 2 months after their last COVID-19 Omicron shot. And we are currently updating the vaccine calculator because of all these changes that have happened. And that's at vaccinate.wv.gov, that we should have that update ready by the beginning of next week. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please turn to your healthcare provider, your primary care person, or your healthcare provider team. It's also important to note that a new variant of COVID-19 is starting to grow. It's growing particularly in India, and it's started to grow a bit in the United States. And it is the XBB 1.16 variant, and it's called Arcturus. And I'm not sure where that name came from, but it's about 10% or so of the cases of COVID-19. And it doesn't seem, in the United States at least, to be causing a great surge in hospitalizations or death. But it's still important to recognize it is a more fit version of the XBB 1.5 that we currently have as our dominant variant, and just once again demonstrates that the virus continues to change. Now, our immunity is at this point able to contain that. But again, as we said, and particularly for all of the people in our state and our country, again, this being infant immunization month, really important to make sure that that our young people, our infants, are being immunized per the schedules that have been set for them by the American Association of Pediatrics and primary care providers. But also in data from Israel, we have now recognized that second shot, the Omicron COVID-19 shot for people over 65, 4 months from the last shot, has a significant protection in hospitalizations and death, and that's been proven in data from Israel. Last couple of things I just wanted to update people on is there's more and more evidence that getting your appropriate vaccine series protects you against the risk of long COVID, as does being treated with Paxlovid, the oral medication that we give people who have tested positive for COVID-19. And also there are other approaches that can be effective, including the drug metformin. And that's a drug that is safe and used extensively in the treatment of diabetes. So those two drugs also reduce the risk of long COVID. And it's now more and more evident that long COVID can lead to diabetes genesis in people, the expression of diabetes in people, and even young people. And it tends to be a bit related to the severity. So the sicker that you got during COVID, the more likely that you'll may end up with diabetes, and also with autoimmune disease, with diseases where your body kind of fights itself. But it's important to recognize that these new diseases that are associated with long COVID can happen even in people that are really young. And in the most recent study from the Scandinavian countries, the average age, I believe, in this study was 32 years old. So ultimately, it really does then re-emphasize the importance of having all of our population, all of our citizens, stay up to date with your Omicron COVID shot because of the benefits of reducing the severe consequences of that illness in you, but also reducing the risk of developing long COVID. And lastly, in a large study looking at medical records, there was the recognition that that about 37% of people who experienced COVID-19 still had some symptoms of shortness of breath or fatigue or others, even at about 2 years afterwards. And that's a larger percentage than we've seen in other studies. But again, it just reinforces the idea that it really is smart for all of us to do the things that prevent us from, protect us from getting infected. But if we get infected, to test ourselves, consider getting Paxlovid or metformin or both to try to reduce your risk of long COVID, and also to stay up to date with your vaccine series. And again, we want to celebrate infant immunization week that does remind us of the great benefit from a public health perspective of immunizations. Other than clean water, probably the most important move forward in public health in our history. And we want to keep everybody safe, and certainly as a team pulling the rope in the same direction. We know that the community of people who care about the health of West Virginia are always pulling together to try to make West Virginia a great place to live and to grow and to be. So thank you so much.
All right, we'll now go to questions from members of the media. The first today is from Mark Curtis with Nexstar Media.
Good afternoon, Governor and fellow reporters, others gathered. Governor, today I talked to Senator Manchin. He is now essentially threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, which he helped to write a great deal of and get implemented, because he says the balance between fossil fuel spending and renewable spending is way out of balance, that most of the money is going for renewables to the detriment of the fossil fuel industry. I'm wondering what your thoughts are with regard to the potential repeal of that bill and the importance of its repeal in terms of trying to get the Mountain Valley Pipeline finished.
Mark, how can we be so silly? I mean, really and truly, when it really boils right down to it. I mean, you know me, you're a good man, and you've always been great with me. But if you ask me a question like this, I'm going to answer it, because I don't dodge anything. Joe had to be completely out of his mind to go along with this. And literally, on top of that, it could very well cost tens of thousands of job opportunities in this state. There's no question. Now to come out and say, I'm going to move to repeal the vote or repeal my vote and everything else. Well, what's going to happen then? What is going to happen? I'll promise you what's going to happen. Then that quick, Biden just vetoes it. And it's law. I mean, for crying out loud, there is no recourse hardly here. Not that I know of, and I don't profess to be an expert at this, but without any question, there had to be, let's just be smart here. There had to be reasons for this complete flip-flop, at the 11th hour that Joe did, that absolutely just sold West Virginia out, any way you cut it. And I'm not being really bad. I'm just telling you that this was a bad move. And Joe may have thought certain things, but the way things are in D.C., who knows? Who knows what the truth really is? And but nevertheless, what I'd be doing is I'd be just saying, I don't have a clue in the world. I'd make full disclosure of anything that I've gotten or favors or whatever it may be, but I'd make complete and full disclosure. It was a real screw up. That's all there is to it.
All right, thanks, Mark. Next to Charles Young with WV News.
Hi, this is Charles Young with W News. I wanted to ask a question about something that General Hoyer mentioned last time about the end of the public health emergency on May 11th. I know this has implications for for folks on Medicaid, Medicare, and the CHIPS program. Are there other state level implications of the end of the public health emergency that West Virginia residents need to be aware of? Thank you.
Charles, Dr. Coben is the guy that's going to have to give us more guidance and more update on that. He'll be with us next week, and I'll surely look into it more and everything. But I'm not the expert there. It's going to have to be Dr. Coben.
All right, thanks, Charles. Next is Stephen Adams with Ogden Newspapers.
Yes, Steve Adams with Ogden Newspapers here. Wanted to get your take. I feel like I ask this every time there's a new update on this, but obviously the Pleasance Power Plan deal situation, PSC did encourage through their order Monday for both the companies and ETM to continue their discussions for a letter of intent to keep that plant warmed up for a 12-month period. And that, at least as of right now, doesn't actually put in place a temporary surcharge, which is something that they will be seeking at some point. So that is still ongoing. I just wanted to get your reaction to that PSC order, which at least, kind of spells out what the PSC wants to do and probably means that there probably will be an approval for a 12-month plan for Pleasance Power going forward. Thank you.
Stephen, I'd say first and foremost, the PSC, they have a job to do. They're doing their job. I personally believe that we should do anything in our power to keep that plant open. That plant is so, it would be just, it would just be terrible. That's just all there is to it. Terrible for that plant to close. That plant is the second most modern, from what I understand, of all of our plants in the state. And that plant, absolutely, if we think, well, we don't live close there or whatever it may be, but I think there's 158 direct jobs there, 400 coal mine jobs that supply the supply the coal to the plant, all kinds of vendor jobs. It would be just devastating to Pleasants County, and I don't want that to happen. That's all there is to it. I plain don't want it to happen. Now, I don't know what all I can do other than all the stuff that I've already done, encourage and look to explore any and all, alternatives. But I just think it'd be really sad for it to happen.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Next to Mark Cram with DC News Now.
Good afternoon, Governor, and all the reporters. Good to see everyone once again here. Governor, not to steal any thunder from an announcement tomorrow, but if you were to make a list of things you wish Washington would do for West Virginia, Congress would do for West Virginia, what would be at the top of your list?
Well, Mark, I would probably say that the top of the list would have to be to open your eyes to just the fact that what we have done already in West Virginia, we have exposed the world to something, excuse me, we've exposed the world to something that they didn't think was even remotely possible. How could little old West Virginia, how could the state that should know its place, and its place was dead last, how in the world could the place that's dingy and poor and whatever it may be, backward, on and on and on, how could that place become the envy of the world? And then all of a sudden, it's really tough for folks maybe in D.C. that were throwing crumbs to West Virginia along the way. And that's really what's just happened. Throughout time, no matter what we've thought about our politicians and our representatives and everything, we were just so happy to get crumbs thrown our way. Well, we don't need crumbs anymore thrown our way. West Virginia has risen to the point in time to where we are now becoming the envy not only of our nation, but maybe even the world. And we should be. We should be. That's all there is to it. We abound in natural resources off the chart. You know, from the standpoint of coal and oil and gas, it's unbelievable. And it is unbelievable how vital that is to our nation. But just look at our other natural resources, whether it be timber or water. I mean, absolutely look at the natural resource of our goodness of our people. And look where we're located. I mean, you can absolutely throw a rock and hit 2/3 of the population of this whole country from West Virginia. It's amazing. It is truly amazing. And the other thing that is so amazing is just this, is our 4 seasons that we have here are so spectacular. They're not severe in any way. They're so spectacular, it's off the chart. And absolutely, I've said it till I'm blue-green. You know, our people here are the greatest of the greatest. They're faith-based, they're low crime, they're absolute craftsmen. They're just absolutely the best of the best. Well, all of a sudden now, everybody's awakened to that. What I want D.C. to do, if I end up in D.C., I'll promise you that you will never see a bigger cheerleader for the state of West Virginia than I've already been all my life, because I believe it. I believe it with all in me. So with all that being said and everything, I truly believe that the biggest thing that we could possibly do for the great state of West Virginia is absolutely be what I've said over and over. Be frogs that are really, really proud of their own pond. And at the end of the day, if we step back and just look at the importance, the strategic values to where we are, we're located within 250 miles or whatever of D.C., how important the redundancy of our mountains, the protection of our mountains, all the different things from our natural resources to on and on and on. It's unbelievable if you just step back and think. Just step back and think of West Virginia's waters. Step back and think of West Virginia's timber. Step back and think that the carbon that our timber is cleaning up out of the air every single day, because the hardwoods, you know, do that the very, very best. You know, it's amazing. It's an amazing place. And so I just think the more and more and more that we know it and we believe it in D.C. or wherever it may be, more and more goodness will come. You know, sure. We want all the things, all the good things that the other states have that maybe we haven't had in the past. But not only that, we don't want a lot of the things that other states have that we don't ever want here. So West Virginia is a really special spot. That's all there is to it. We need to all remember that.
All right, thanks, Mark. Next to Brad McElhenney with West Virginia Metro News.
Hi, Governor. It's almost your birthday. Happy birthday. Governor, if a person were going to announce a run for U.S. Senate tomorrow, how much would that person anticipate self-funding a campaign? And does that candidate believe he'll get an endorsement from Donald Trump? Thank you.
Well, if that person were going to announce it on their birthday tomorrow, I would say, Brad, without any question, that person's not going to fund his own campaign or her own campaign. And I would not advise doing that. Really and truly, this needs to be an all-in approach. Everybody should be all in. Without any question, you know, I'm not very good. I am not very good, you know, when it comes down to, you know, like I've said so many times, you put me in a tunnel with no light, you know, you can find a lot of people that'll be a lot better than I. But if you put me in a tunnel with the least little sprinkle of light, there's nobody better than I am. I'll get there. And so what I'm just saying is, in a nutshell, is just this. I really run off of other people's energy. And to just sit back and handle this on my own, I'm not going to do that at all.
All right, thanks, Brad. Next to Randy Yohe with West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Hi, Governor. Hi, colleagues. Governor, the Deputy State Auditor talked to the Interim Joint Finance Committee last week about some state agencies falling far behind in submitting vendor and contractor invoices. He said for some agencies, there's many millions of dollars not paid for 6 months, for a year after completed work or service. He said that leads to West Virginia businesses not meeting payroll or nonprofits struggling with lines of credit, agencies possibly racking up interest. So as our businessman governor, 2 questions. First, what can you do about facilitating prompt payments? And second, what do you think when the auditor says the Prompt Pay Act bill that failed in the recent legislative session failed for political reasons?
Well, Randy, I don't want to get out way over my skis here, but I think Secretary Riston found this to not be accurate or not be the truth. We always want to make sure that bills are handled promptly. You know, I need to do more work at it and everything, and I'm not accusing, on either side, but I just need to do some more work. I mean, the obvious is it's ridiculous if we've got real invoices that aren't paid for a year. I mean, that's the most demotivational thing that there could possibly be, but oftentimes, in an invoice, if an invoice is issued and there's inaccuracies about the invoice or whatever it may be, oftentimes, the auditor may kick them back, because of a wrong address or something that's not matching or whatever it may be. And I'm only just speaking in generalities here because I think first and foremost, the invoices should be paid promptly. There's no question about that, but at the same time, there could be circumstances that are that prevail in what the real situation is here. We just need to check it out more, but Randy will do that.
All right, thanks, Randy. Next to Curtis Johnson with WSAZ.
Hey, thank you so much, Governor, for taking my question. A week ago, your interim DHHR secretary told lawmakers he could not provide a working transition plan to split the agency because he needed to meet with your office first. He told lawmakers those meetings with your team would happen this week. Have those meetings taken place? If so, what decisions have been made? If not, why the delay? And finally, what can you tell citizens about the transition of this important agency?
Well, first of all, Curtis, I do know that the meeting took place and it took place today. My chief of staff was there and everything. They did the working plan today. But I really wish we had Dr. Coben on and everything. We'll have him on next week for sure. But we absolutely want to have complete transparency and everything, and we'll be completely transparent with this plan as well.
All right, thanks. Governor, back to you.
Well, again, thank you, everybody, for the questions and everything. And, I appreciate your patience in regard to, just like Curtis's last question and everything, there's certain things I surely don't know the outcome of the meeting yet today and everything. We do need Dr. Coben on to where Dr. Coben can give us more and more updates on it. I do think we're making some real headway on DHHR, and we want to continue that, and let's just keep everything going in a great way all across the state. So thank y'all so much.